Micro flipping versus wholesaling real estate. Guys, it's Rick in here with Flip with Rick, and you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button, smash that like button to continue to receive the absolute best up-to-date wholesaling information. If you guys haven't heard the word micro flipping, you've probably been hidden under a rock. And your biggest question is probably, Rick, what is micro flipping? Here's how I boil it down. And by the way, I'm not really a micro flipper. I've worked with people doing micro flipping. I don't subscribe to it in my local market. I've done a little bit of it nationally to test out virtual markets. But there's basically two types of micro flipping because I hear it on all sides. Like, I do micro flipping, and from everything I gathered, there's two types. So like number one, there's the simple micro flipper that looks to JV with other wholesalers across the country and basically grab what we call low-hanging fruit, like really good, juicy deals. They put them under contract virtually on the phone. Micro flipping is a completely virtual technique. So you're doing it all from a laptop and from the use of basically your cell phone. So they put it under contract. They find a local wholesaler in their area and they work with them to sell it. Now, a lot of the JVs are just looking to find people that have deals. So say I'm in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I got a deal under contract, and a guy reaches out to me on social media or, whatever it is, Facebook, Craigslist ad, and goes, listen, I got buyers in the area. I'm like, great, I have a deal. Let's work together. And so he says, okay, well, what do you want for the property? And you go, well, listen, I need 55 grand. So he gets the address, he runs some comps. He's like, okay, I can probably get you 55 grand. You okay if I make anything over it? And you're like, heck, why not? So maybe your profit is $10,000. So you got under contract 45. You've offered to sell it to the JV micro flipper to 55, and he wants to add a fee on top of it. That scenario right there is a case of micro flipping that concentrates completely on the buyer side, meaning that JV partner is focusing on inducing sales. Now, whatever he marks it up for, I've seen him mark it up like another 10, 15. I've seen him just put like as low as $1,000 on it. For that micro flipper to make that work, he or she has to have a very robust database. And they're going to have to invest time, money, and energy. And they're going to have hustlers on the phone constantly finding the most up-to-date cash buyers in that area. And keep in mind, a lot of times you can't do this in one tiny city. You got to be spread across a lot of cities. And that's the challenge of doing this micro flipping is it's time intensive in my opinion. You have to do high quantities with low margins. That's not even it's not in my wheelhouse. I'm all about low overhead and high margins. But I have people all the time approaching me in my market. Hey, Rick, we can sell your properties. I don't really need the help with it, but I have used them on occasions to sell some problematic properties. And that's the downside on this part of doing micro flipping is most of these micro flippers that concentrate on JV selling it for the wholesaler, they get a lot of the problem properties, the properties that are not easily sold. Either they have code violation issues, structural issues, and that's where, to me, they're a big help to my business on that part. But can you imagine dealing with 20 or 30, like always a problem property? Problem properties have people fall out of contract all the time, especially when you go to sell them. They want inspections, they want this, they want that. And that's the challenge with them. So that's the first type of micro flipper. And it's very prominent across the country. You have to have an amazing ability to network with people. As I said, you have to have a deep, robust CRM, a database that has all these buyers' information. And to collect all that information, you're going to have to pay people to get on the phones and hustle with texts, and, actually live phone calls, whatever it takes, post on social media. The second type of micro flipper is basically someone that looks across the entire country. They'll pick out a market, typically virtually, and they are looking for low-hanging fruits in that market. And basically, they get a house under contract, and then they go on the internet, all from a keystroke of computers, and either they find one of these JV micro flippers to help them sell the property, or they're going to find a local wholesaler in that area and do a JV agreement for him or her to bring the cash buyer in. It's a lot of work to go through and do the marketing, find the properties, get them under contract, and then find somebody to help you do dispo on the property. And it's not for the faint of heart. You have to find what I call low-hanging fruit. Obviously, the more margins in it, the easier it is. But a lot of micro flippers, they're okay making between $1,000 and $5,000 a deal. The key to that is they have to do a lot of quantity. They have to do quantity because at $3,000 to $5,000 a deal, if you did 10 deals in a month, at $3,000, that's only 30 grand. And remember, you are behind a computer a long time. So you got to do a lot of work, especially if you are working by yourself. Let's talk about the advantages of micro flipping. It's fast, guys, and you're not contained to your own backyard. That, to me, that's the biggest draw. So like say you're in LA or like New York City, heck, or even South Florida. A lot of us think the grass is always greener on the other side. I'm here to tell you, the grass is always lush and full in your backyard. I don't care how many investors are there. Always start there. Even if I was born and raised in LA and I'm there now, I'm still hunting for a deal because when I get a deal, I'm going to make 6 figures on it and it's going to be easy. I would never stop what you do in your backyard. If you want to add micro flipping to it, you can do it. If you can find a market that you have some familiarity with, either maybe you grew up there, you got family there, or you got a friend there and some boots on the ground, it's a huge help. As I said, a lot of micro flipping happens in less than 72 hours. And that, guys, who doesn't want to buy a house and sell it in 72 hours? It's attractive. The problem is you got to do high quantity. It's low margins. And that you have to understand with micro flipping. But with technology today, it's possible to flip a house really anywhere in the United States, and it gives you the freedom to kind of go anywhere you want. So I guess micro flipping, there's 2 ways to do it. There's the guy or gal that does it from head to toe, and it's very labor intensive. I mean, a lot of time in it, but they don't have to get in their car and go anywhere. So if you're confined to an area, you could actually do this virtually as long as you had an internet connection. It would be equivalent to say what a day trader does. You're literally moving the property as fast as possible. My experience with micro flipping is it does have a high failure rate, anywhere from 30 to 50%, meaning these are the people that fall out of contract because there's no way you can be familiar with every market until you've done enough deals in there. So in the beginning, you are going to have a lot of deals that fail. There's no point in closing on a deal that doesn't make financial sense, and you need to understand it going at. Now that we've defined the 2 types of micro flipping, let's do it in comparison to wholesaling real estate. The main reason we do wholesaling is to really gain freedom, like as much time as possible. The challenge with the micro is you know it's going to be time intensive because you need the quantity. Really in wholesaling real estate, you can get one deal that make you 50 grand. One deal that can make you 50 grand, because I've done it so many times over and over. I've seen so many people I've worked with do this over and over. And how freeing is it when you do one deal that makes 50 grand, or if I had to do 10 to 15 deals to try to equate that one? It's exhausting. Guys, let me let you on a little secret. Making 50 grand versus 2 or 3 grand, it's the same amount of effort. The only difference is it's going to require you to gain a marketing skill and be confident when you spend marketing dollars to be able to deal with motivated sellers and get them under contract. Because when you're in your local market, you know exactly what the house is worth. There's rarely a doubt in your mind. And remember, wholesaling, just like in micro flipping, you're still minimizing your risk. So either way, you're minimizing your risk. In most local markets, the failure rate on contracts is much, much lower unless the homeowner basically omits telling you a material fact that would affect the value of the house. In my opinion, wholesaling gives you a much higher reward for your effort, and I believe you have much more control of your time. Now, full disclosure, some of you love running around on computers and bouncing around different markets and dealing with hundreds of phone calls, and micro flipping sounds really sexy to you. Go for it. Give it a shot. I'm just telling you that if you take the wholesaling real estate strategy in your local market, you can easily do this, even in saturated markets. Guys, I'm here in South Florida. Everyone tells me there's too many people here. I'm probably in one of the most saturated markets. I draw a lot of attention to this market, and I still dominate it by doing wholesaling here locally. If I did micro flipping, it would take away from what I do in my local market. And why do I want to distract myself? So this is my personal view. You guys If you want to do micro flipping, knock yourself out. I just want you to understand the two different types of it. There's the JV that focuses on the buyer's side that you work with, and the other guy or gal takes the deal all the way home. If you're contemplating which one to do, I want you to carefully consider the difference. Now that you understand what micro flipping are and the types of micro flippers, and I know by watching this channel, you understand what a wholesaler is, now you can make a determination. If you truly want freedom of time to work with your family and you want to maximize each deal, I think wholesaling is a no-brainer. But if you're just getting started out and you are in an extremely remote area, then knock yourself out, get on that computer, get to micro flipping, get as many deals as you can get done. Once you find a market where you're having success in micro flipping, I would look into possibly working with someone to get some boots on the ground in order for you to maximize your profits. That's the only thing I would add to the micro flipping. Heck, I think people having hustle do micro flipping, it's amazing. It's just not, to me, I don't want to work that hard. It's just my opinion. Guys, let me know what you think. Do you prefer to do micro flipping, or do you like the traditional wholesaling where you can kind of control your time, you can maximize the profit on each deal, and you can scale it to what level you want to do it? 25, 50, 100K. Guys, the sky's the limit. It doesn't matter if you do wholesaling or micro flipping, or if you do want a combo of both. Just make sure you are doing local investing in your local market, regardless of how saturated it is, because you only need one deal to make you a 50 or 100K. And if you leave that market just to do micro flipping, you might miss out on an amazing opportunity. What you think? Do you prefer micro flipping? Do you prefer wholesaling? Or you want to do a combo of both? Let me know in the comments below. I would love to hear feedback from you guys. Do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, smash that like button, share this video with someone who's maybe struggling between the two, because they both have their pros and cons. It's just up to you and what you want to do and what's most important to you. Guys, this is Rick with Flip with Rick, and I will see you in the next upcoming video. Thanks.